Hello everyone, my name is Andrew and welcome back to the Coin Channel. So something that I've always found to be really fascinating are really old banknotes and their really intricate kind of webbed design elements that they use. Take a look at this British £1 note, for example. You see that kind of webbing behind the £1 in the middle? That kind of pattern is something that I've always really liked to see, and the more of it, the better. I mean, there's just a lot of this on the front of another one here. Look at the special voucher here. You can see all the details there. The kind of pseudo 3D effect that they give. I just thought that this looked super cool. And it turns out that there's a whole community that I discovered that really sparked my interest for these security envelopes. And I just started to collect them. So I have a bunch of little patterns that I've found here and there. Some of these from other countries, like these two were from Japan. That one's also from Japan. But some of these like economic relief junk mail things that I've been receiving have these really interesting numbers on them. You can kind of see all the numbers kind of bunched together. You don't really see that on anything else so far, at least. So I thought that I just would start collecting and putting aside pieces that I found to be interesting. And I just thought I would show you kind of what I do to make my collection look presentable. So without further ado, I'll show you what I have done. I do need a couple of supplies to kind of get this started. I have this kind of plastic backing here that is pretty helpful to help protect the table and other surfaces, as well as kind of smooth it out. I then also end up using a centimeter ruler. This is a pretty cool Nismo one that I picked up in Yokohama. So having a nice centimeter ruler is especially good because if you get a combination inch and centimeters, both sides will not line up. But in this case, you can see the centimeter there on that end matches with the one on top. So you can kind of work across and on both sides to make sure you line things up nice and neat. So I use that. I also have a journal that I've decided to put all of my items in, though this is purely optional. This happens to be a PA5 size, and I just found that this is a perfect size for me. I originally started off with these small chips like this that were 3x3 and then cut on the outside, so you can see there's a 3x3 square and I just cut along the edge. And you can see this is one of my favorite designs. Look at that houndstooth. Really cool. This actually came from a Japanese pension service envelope. On top of that, to get that nice kind of look on the back, you can already see a few of my designs there, I decided to pick up a scissor, and it actually cuts really nice. It's a little zigzag pattern, and I think it turns out pretty good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I prepare the envelopes that I want to work on and how I cut them up. So first of all, here is a new pattern that I just found. Look at that. It's like got like this crisscross kind of pattern to it. And I thought that these looked really cool. One thing I'll do first is I'm going to actually rip this open and flatten it so that it's easy to make my cuts. Alright, and as you can see, pretty messy, but it does the trick just fine. Here is the envelope now flattened. You can also use a razor blade like this, like a little cutter. This guy is really helpful to be able to kind of slice and open up the envelope a little neater if I choose to do that. What I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and flip it over, and you can see we have these creases here. What I'll do is I'll take my ruler and actually line it up. I have two pieces I'm going to be cutting. I'm going to be cutting the full-size 5x9 centimeter piece and also a smaller 3x3 centimeter. I plan on kind of gluing these on a page and making like a quilt pattern. I think that would be pretty cool. And we'll go ahead and draw those lines. Alright, and now I have drawn my 9 centimeter long line. I'm actually going to be drawing the large piece first and see what I have left over to work with. And you don't have to be exact on this. You can be a little off because when you go to connect other lines, you'll be able to make your corrections. And we are now going to make the second line. Alright, to make it easier, I've also made marks on both sides of the centimeter ruler, right where the 13 is. So the angle is a little bad, so it looks like it's off, but I have made sure that it is straight. And now I can actually go to the other side there and do the same thing. Now at this point I have 3 lines drawn, and just like that, we have our main piece ready to go. So we're going to kind of go along maybe this top line here, maybe extend it out and draw my 3x3 square with the ruler in the same way. though I do have a new technique I use for the smaller shapes. Now when I am done with 2 of the lines, I go across and then down, and simply use the benefit of the centimeter ruler and line up both ends to be even, and then make my 3rd mark across. And I make my final line. Now what I like to do from here is choose how I want to cut him. Let's go ahead and start with the larger one, and I'm going to show you how I cut with the scissors. So this is where the challenge really sets in. So I got to make sure that when I'm cutting that I don't overshoot or undershoot my goal to keep things kind of consistent. And something that can be tricky is making that initial cut, because a lot of times your piece is going to be away from the edge, and you sometimes want to have a little space, because I find that the paper will sometimes bend when it is too close because it is not that far away from the edge. So I try to go in a little bit and be able to get a nice cut. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to make sure that my ridge here, you can see the little point there, that point is starting off inside the edge of the rectangle. So I'm going to try to start it maybe right there. So something that I have found as I am cutting is that sometimes the blade will not be directly touching the page, and that can cause me to under or overcut. So to fix that, I'll kind of press on the blade from the back. So we're going to go ahead and finish this cut, and I'll show you what it looks like. Though when you get to the edge of the blade, about the top there, things tend to get shorter. Before I reach that point, maybe a few teeth away, I'll lift up the scissors, push the scissors, and realign myself along the teeth that I've cut, and then continue cutting to finish off the edge. And now we have the right side cut. One side is done, and you can see that I am a little off, but not too bad. This is going to be just fine. So now I'm going to go turn the page over, and it really is up to you and your preferences. I like to try to keep things smooth, not pointy. And as you can see, the edge there, it's a little pointy, but not too bad. I find that if I try to stay consistent, I tend to get a really nice consistent pattern going across. You learn pretty quickly. It's not that hard to do this. It's just a matter of keeping a couple things in mind. I'm now going to finish off the cut here and take out the rectangle. And with that, we have our piece cut. So now if we flip it over, we get our little design. So it looks really good, I think, on this black. And there's a variety of ways you can store these. You can put them in little card sleeves, so you can cut it to more like a baseball card size. And I thought this turned out pretty good. So that is going to be another one for my collection. So now that I have created those 2 pieces, I'm pretty much done with my cuts. And I'm now going to go ahead and place them into my album. And for the album, I actually stuck with, like I said, about a PA5 size, and I actually cut about 2 centimeters off of the edge there, so you can see how far it is out right now, and actually just kind of cut it 2 centimeters in on that end, and that way it kind of lines up better with my overall spacing. And this is kind of what I did for my journal here. You can see that I ended up making some marks with my pencil. About 1.5 centimeters going from the center where the spine is and out on the top and the bottom, then just drew a thin line going all the way up. Then I also did another 1.5 centimeters coming from the top down to the first piece. I know that they are 5 centimeters high, so I went ahead and marked 5 centimeters, marked another 1.5 centimeters, another 5 centimeters, another 1.5, another 5, and then a final 1.5 centimeters. And when I did that on both sides and drew my lines and connected the endpoints, I had a pretty good template for how I'm going to put my pieces in. So as you can see, we have our 2 pages here with all of our guidelines drawn. We can always erase them as we go and place our patterns down. And we can also decorate our front cover. You can see I decorated it with some airmail related things, and of course here are some of the pages filled out with new patterns. So that's going to be all for this video. Take care out there, be safe, and have a wonderful day.